So when we're working with protocols, there are different protocols, different rules for working in local zones as opposed to general zones. So for right now, we're going to talk about the Galina, which is one of my favorite local protocols, really, because it's so effective. And Galina happens to be Ravenka's wife. That's how it got its name. So this is a form that I use for it, and we always put where you set a Galina is on the point of the body where the person can actually point. This is where the pain is. And what you want to do is you make a square like this. With this being the point of pain. This is one side of the body, and this is another side of the body. So in the first, so the format is what you do is in the first position, you would put this position right over the point of the body that hurts, and you would take a reaction initial reaction. So what we do, for instance, we take right there. This is where my pain is. I take the initial reaction, and it shows a 19. I'm going to mark the body with those four corners like that, so that I know that's the center spot. And so just say it's like, I'm just going to kind of play with it here. So I've just marked my body with these four corners. This is the area of the pain. So when I come in, though, I put on my skin, beep, beep, and it hits a initial reaction, and I get, say, the device gives me a 19. So I put 19 there. And then I also, right then, this is the first position of this protocol. So the rule is this always gets a dose. You take the reaction and the initial reaction, and you put a dose on it right away. And so say we do that. We put a dose on it, and it turns out to be 25. So I'm going to put an asterisk next to this 25. What I normally like to do is put the 19, then a diagonal line, then the 25, and a little asterisk showing that I put the dose there. Now from here on out, we're going to compare initial reactions in pairs. We're going to take an initial reaction from the second position and the third position. Mm-hmm. So if we get initial reactions of, say, 19 and 20, sure, that's great. If you could write it down, and that way you can carry it as an example. Mm-hmm. So we go 19 and 20. Which one of these is higher? And that's where we put the dose. So the 20 is higher than 19. So we put the dose there. We put a dose here, and say it turns out to be 28. No, the initial reaction, and I put it, and I dosed it. So the dose comes, say the dose turns out to be 28.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
The asterisk saying you dosed it.
Yes, the asterisk. Exactly. And so then I go on to a new thing. So say it's 18 and 15. Where am I going to put the dose? I'm going to put it on the 18. So I'm going to put a dose on the 18 here, and it's going to turn out to be 27. Say. And I put a little asterisk there, saying that that's where it went.
You dosed it 27.
Yeah. And then after that, I go to the next pair. So say this one turns out to be 25, and this one turns out to be 28.
You're going to dose the 25.
Nope.
No, 28. I'm sorry.
Right. We'll dose the 28. Exactly. So I dose the 28, and the dose, say, turns out to be 32. And I'll asterisk there. Then I do the last pair, position 8 and 9. So in position 8, say, we get 16, and in position 9, we get 14. So
You're gonna do.
I'm going to dose over the 16 on the reaction, the initial reaction 16. So I dosed that one, and it turns out to be 30 with an asterisk. Okay, there we've finished the whole box, all 9 positions. And so now we have doses. Now what we do, next step, is compare all of these doses.
Mm-hmm.
Which dose turned out to be the highest? The 32 down here in position, which position is that? 7. So I bring the device back to that position on my arm like this, and dose it again, but this time I wait for the 0. And so say the 0 happens at 60. You get it? And I put a little teeny 0 next to the 60. Okay, that's what I do.
Because
Everybody
it shows that
can
you're
do-
zeroed it out.
Right, and everybody can make their own notations, but this is how I learned how to do it. So then once we close the one side that hurts to 0, then we do the exact same thing on the opposite side. We start a new box on the exact symmetrical position of the body. So if this is where the first one was, I go exactly to this one, and I put that's where my center spot is. So we'll start off with a new set of rules or numbers. I've got, say we've got a 20. And the rule is we dose it right away, no matter what it is. And say it gives us a 35. Dose. Once I've done that, then I go into pairs, comparing pairs. So I get a 19 and a 17. Well, I go and put a dose on the 19. It's high. So I get a 28 on the 19. Then I go to the next pair. So I get a 20 and a 21. Dose the 21, and it goes to 30. And then I go to the next pair. So say here we get 21, and we get 21 again. We get 2 of the same number. In this case, we don't have to do anything. We just skip it. We don't put a dose here because there's no what we call asymmetry. There's no difference. You know, the asymmetry is found in the difference. But if there's no difference, there's no asymmetry, no use treating it. We move on to the next pair. And so in the next pair, we get 25 and 26. And here, the 26 doses out at 35. Okay, we finished the box with doses. We compare all the doses. And in this instant, the two 35s are the same. They're the highest and they're the same. So what do you do in that case? In that case, you go over the top, the center one. You go over the one that dosed first. And that just has to do with the position. So this one dosed to 35 first. We go back to here and we put a 0 on it. And the 0 turns out to be 61. Now I have 2 zeros to compare. I compare the 61 with the 60. The 61 wins the FM VAR. Because remember I said that the goal of every protocol in dose 1 is to find places that we can put FM VAR for 2 minutes. And remember, FM VAR is FM on, damping VAR. And we leave it for exactly 2 minutes. And we put that on this center spot over here. And we mark FM VAR so we know we did it. And then we're done with this protocol. At that point, you ask the person, move around. Tell me what's changed. and they say, usually by the time they finish the Galina, it's down, the pain is down to a 2,
Mhm.
a 1 or a 2. But it at least would be coming down by 50%, is what we would expect. So that's the famous Galina.